Hey, welcome back to the Step Out and Thrive podcast with me, Bethany. And as you can tell, I'm here again with Albert. And I say again because we are on our fourth session together, and I cannot wait to get started today. But before I reintroduce him, I want to just make sure that you're in the right place. If you enjoy deeper conversation, if you ever feel tempted to try to do life on your own, or you go, is there really a safe place out there where I can share and be myself? Can I create that place for others? Yes. And that is exactly what we talk about. We talk about ways that we can go deeper and actually build deeper relationships with others, whether you're a coach or a counselor, you do a lot of one on one sessions, or maybe you're a parent just trying to get your teenager to open up. That hits a little bit home with me. Wherever you are, you need deeper ways to connect with others. And so you're in the right place, my friend. And today, this could be the last time for a little bit. I don't know. I got to have you back on again. But today I'm going to reintroduce Albert Oh my goodness, I'm going to mess up your last name. How do you say your last name, Albert?
Pellissier.
Pellissier. I don't know why I want to pronounce that. That's such a cool last name. So Albert Pellissier, for those that this is the first episode for some reason, they haven't listened to me and gone back and listened to previous episodes. Who are you and what do you do, my friend?
I am mainly a coach. I specialize in blocks to your dreams, your goals, and your calling ultimately. And I help people really discover and eliminate the biggest obstacle to answering the call.
I love that. And so many of us have obstacles. And one of the questions he asked me off camera a while ago is like, well, do you have anything that you're distracted by, or do you have anything that you're trying to get going, or anything on your back burner? I just started laughing, and he's like, oh, okay, there is. And so all of us have these things. All of us have these ideas that, well, I'll get to that someday. You really want to do that, and so I thought I'd be brave here and come on and say, okay, Albert, let's put you to the test, my friend. And I'll be honest with you, he did an amazing exercise with us already. So I already know Albert's amazing at what he does. So, like, that's part of the reason he got to come on here because he's a great guy to have a connection with. But I know he's amazing at the questions and the thought processes and the process. And so I thought I'd be brave, Albert, and put my desire out there. One thing that I keep on putting on the back burner is that I still have not started work on my book. And I really have told people that I was going to work on this. And I just total 100% confession have not started. So, can you help me get started on this
I
project?
can help you. So
Yay!
let's go, So just to catch the audience up,
Yes.
the first question, if you're going to see me live, in a workshop or on a speech, or even if you work with me privately, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, okay, what's on your back burner? And what I mean by that is, do you have a goal, a project, some sort of a desire, or ultimately really your calling that the idea never goes away, no matter how long it's been there. It may be just barely a flicker of a flame left on your back burner, but it hasn't gone out. And it may have been here for a year, a month, 10 years, 20 years. It may have been something on your back burner for your entire life. I think that's really important to ask yourself, first of all, why would this thing be so important that in spite of my efforts or lack of efforts to make it happen, why is this idea haunting me? I think it's important.
Yes. Yes. I
And
like
so,
that. That's great.
go ahead. What were you going to say, Bethany? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, I love that. And so many of us have that. And so many of us just don't talk about it because we don't think it's possible. And so, yeah, very good.
Okay, so you admitted to me, before we started that yours was the book, right? So
Yes.
the second question I would ask, a client or somebody in the room is, why do you think you haven't done it? And, just
Mhm.
in the workshop, I would give you a worksheet and I would give you a place where you can have like 5 blanks to fill in the answer. What are the reasons that you think you haven't done it?
Because I don't have time.
Okay, time.
That's
What
number
else?
one. My kids. I love my kids, but they're loving distractions. We'll put it that way.
And that's
Um,
also a time commitment, right? Time.
okay, yeah, true.
Okay, what else?
Um, Technology. What about that?
What is it?
Yeah, I haven't got the process down of how I want to start it. Like I don't know if I'm going
Okay.
to use Evernote. I don't know if I'm going to use
Okay.
Microsoft
Yeah.
Word. Yeah,
So the
like it's
process, you're not sure how you would even begin. All right.
yeah.
Anything else?
That's probably it, honestly. Because I think if I
Okay.
got myself in front of a computer and just let myself go, I would do it. But just trying to carve out that time has not happened.
Okay, so the answer to this question about why you think you haven't done it, I call these the damn good reasons, right?
Mm,
These are the
yes.
damn good reasons. These are plausible. If you shared this with any friend or supporter, they would totally let you off the hook. They would say, "Oh, Bethany,
Right.
yeah, I understand you have your kids. Yeah, how could you possibly do this with kids?" So everyone is going to support you in not doing it with these
Yes.
with these answers. Okay, so now that alone kind of explains why 99% of the people are not even going to move past this point because it's perfectly reasonable not to do it
Yes.
based on these things. Everybody is
Yes.
going to talk about, oh, I don't have the money. I don't quite sure I know what I'm going to do, or do I know enough to do it? It's all these things that are reasonable reasons. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
here's what I'm going to tell everyone who's listening. If you have something on your back burner and you haven't done it, or maybe you've made a few attempts at it and they didn't really go anywhere, you didn't get any traction and it went back on your back burner, but it's still there.
Mm,
The reason that you haven't done it yet is because there is an aspect of yourself, there's a part of yourself that doesn't think it's a good idea.
mm, mm.
And this part of yourself that doesn't think it's a good idea is going to win this battle.
Yep.
One, you don't even know it's there. It's buried in your subconscious mind. It's more powerful than you. It knows all of the tricks of how to talk you out of it. It's the voice that whispers in your ear, why today's not the day, or this moment is not the moment, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it knows just what to say to keep it from happening.
So true.
Now, you may not even realize somebody's whispering in your ear, and it's really yourself coming from the inside. Okay, so this is how you begin to resolve this. I want you to imagine, Bethany, I want to put you in a place where the book is already written.
Mm,
It's already been printed. It's wherever you're distributing it, it's out. Okay. Put yourself in that mindset where it's not a matter of can you do it, it's already done, it's out. And
mm,
now that it's out, here's what I want to know. What bothers you about this new situation that you're in where you have a book out? What are the obligations now that you're imagining that come as a result of this?
mm.
What comes to
Yeah.
mind when your book is out? Like, what has changed in your life that kind of causes you worry or concern, or you're not quite sure if you
Mm.
like the situation you put yourself in? Does anything
Yeah.
come to mind?
Well, I mean, part of me wonders, uh-oh, what did I have to sacrifice to get this done? To be honest, I mean, do I have enough money? Do I still have clients?
Okay.
But I'll also mention this, and I'm also thinking of, okay, now that I have this, uh-oh, do I need to go on a speaking tour? How am I going to, make sure that I get my money back because books take money. If y'all
Right.
didn't know that, books take money. I'm just going to put that out there. A lot of people think you just go on Amazon and it costs nothing. No, it costs money to publish books, so that I can get my money back. And I always worry about, oh no, are they going to find that error that I found on the second or third run through? Because no matter how many times you publish it, there's always going to be the little errors in there. So yeah, that.
Okay, now look, if we were doing this in a long format, I would press you to come up with at least a dozen or 15 reasons.
Wow.
And you would
Wow.
have them. People can easily come up with 20, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now think about this. Let's just put your case right here, front and center. On one hand, you have this desire to write the book.
Yeah.
In your current situation, it's time consuming and you would maybe be neglecting your children to be able to do it.
Yeah.
If you put all that aside and you did it, now you're in a position where not only had you wasted the time and neglected your kids, but also you're wondering if you lost clients as a result and the money that came from them. Now you have a speaking tour that you have to organize. You're concerned whether you'll ever make the money back that you've already spent and is gone. And you may also be confronted with the criticism of people pointing out the errors in the book after you've already spent all that money.
You're gonna help me move forward, right, Albert? Good, good, good.
The question is like, well, yeah, why on earth would you move forward with this project?
Yeah. Oh, is that the question for me?
Well, it's a question for you, and
Okay.
it's really a question. But can you see the balance here? In other words,
Yeah.
these are pretty weighty things that
Yes.
came up, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's if and so I'm going to characterize them and say this second list, this list of what bothers you and concerns you now that you've done it, because we got past the could you write it and could you get it
Mm.
printed at Amazon and how
Yeah.
you did the cover design. We skipped all that. We went up to it's done, and yet now you have almost a longer list of things that are not great about it.
True.
Okay,
So
so
true.
how in the world would you possibly motivate yourself to write it? Or in the case of somebody who's listening to this,
Mhm.
start that organization or, launch that new career or, expand your coaching business to group work or whatever it is that, you answered when I said what's on your back burner. Everyone who's listening to this, Bethany, has this long list of a dozen or 15 or 20 reasons why it's not a good idea. What I
Mm.
want you and them to understand at the same time is like, this is the reason that you don't do it, not the other
Mm.
one that you answered first. Those plausible reasons seem reasonable, but it's not the real reason that you haven't done it. It's because in the back of your mind, unbeknownst to you, these are what I call the self-centered fears
Mm.
over
Mm.
launching your project. And each one of these things that you listed, it came from a life experience that you've already had, where you
Yeah.
have made this mistake before, where you
Mm.
spent money that you didn't get back, or you
Mm.
did do something and the distraction caused a loss of clients. Maybe not on this scale,
Mm. Yeah.
uh, but in some way. And so your subconscious mind remembers the mistakes you made in the past, and its directive is to make sure you don't make them again.
So true.
But it's not at a conscious level awareness of it because if you try to really be conscious of all the mistakes you've ever made in your life, you couldn't get out of bed in the morning. You wouldn't be able to, leave your apartment or home. It's too daunting. So it all
Yeah.
happens in the background.
Mm.
It's going on in
Wow.
your operating system to help you avoid future pain and discomfort and loss.
Mm. Makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now look, is it true? Some of these things, okay, maybe you would have to do a speaking tour, but you don't have to, right? You wouldn't have
True.
to if you do. Now, maybe the book wouldn't sell as many videos, but it wouldn't be necessarily 100% necessary to do a speaking tour. But if that's in your mind, that's what you're going to think needs to
Mm.
happen. Okay, so you wanted to know, all right, how do you resolve this?
Yes.
Okay, here's the first phase. And I have three phases to really eliminate it for good. And the deeper you get into it, the more it will be gone forever. So it's up to the person. Like, how deep do I want to go? How much work do I want to put to really get rid of this? Because if it's something you really want to do, I swear to you, this process will work. It can't not work. You're eliminating these obstacles, and they're not hard to get rid of, but it does take a little bit of effort.
Well,
And
well, here, well,
go
here's
ahead.
what I'll mention is today,
Yeah.
let's try to tackle some of the first phase, but I want to challenge if you're listening to this and you're watching this and you've already got something and you're working with me, go download the worksheet so you can go through and do this more. So we're going to leave you on a cliffhanger because I don't want people to listen to this and be jotting down all these questions. I want them to actually go download what you have. And so, first phase, what do we need to do? Because I feel stuck right now.
Okay, first phase. Well, you can go to backburnerbook.com and there's a little tab that says book resources, and you don't have to sign in. You don't have to give me your email or, whatever. I'm not going to spam you. You just go on there and just download and print these worksheets. The first worksheet is just going to be the one that says what's on your back burner, why you think you haven't done it, and then flip it over and okay, what bothers you now and list these things. Okay, so here's the process. And I recommend almost insist you do it with a friend.
Yes.
Okay. You
Good.
get a burner buddy is what I call it. Okay. And they can either do it if they have something, a project that's on their back burner that they can do it with you and it's more insightful, or all you're recruiting them to do is listen to you for 10 minutes a day, read your list out loud to them.
Very
Now,
good.
this sounds simple, but this is what you would do, Bethany. You would find a friend and you would say, "Hey, I'm doing this process. Would you be willing to help me for, 5 or 10 minutes a day? I'm going to just call you at a certain time or text you and see if you're available." And what you would do is you would say, "Now that my book is actually written,
Okay.
and I'm selling copies. You can get however detailed you want. You could say now that my book is a bestseller, whatever you really feel like the goal is. Now that my book is done and I'm promoting it, what bothers me now is, and then you
Mm.
would say to the other person, I'm really worried that I'll never get the money back that I've spent on this book. And then you just go to the next one. You say the next one. I'm really concerned that this is going to require me to do a speaking tour, and which is just going to infringe on my time and take me away from my family. I am worried that if I do this book, I'm going to lose clients in the process because I'm spending time on my book instead of. And you just read the list down to the bottom, and their only job is when you're finished is to say, "Thank you for sharing."
Mm. Wow.
That's it. Their job is not to say, "Oh, Bethany, I know you and it's not true," and to kind of coach you through it because these things are real for you. These are real
Yeah.
beliefs that you have. Okay. So I'm honoring that as your listener, and I'm just
Mm.
saying, yes, okay, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's my only job. Now, if I'm doing it too, then I would put out my list and I would say,
Yep.
now that I'm enrolling, clients in my mastermind and whatever, blah, 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 what bothers me now is, and I would read mine to you.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you would say, at the end,
Yeah.
I would say, "Hey, you would say, thanks for your honesty." And I would say, "Thanks for listening." And then that's
Yep.
it. That's all we do. It takes,
Wow.
it takes 10 minutes. And then tomorrow, you get a fresh list. Okay. Now
Mm.
it's the same issue. It's the same, I've written my book and now it bothers me
Yep.
now. And you just write whatever you're thinking tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
you call your burner buddy and you read your list to them.
That's amazing.
And then
Love that.
that's it. They listen and you listen to them maybe. And then you say, "Okay, goodbye." And then the next day you do it again. Okay, so
Love that.
here's what starts to happen.
Mhm.
At first, these things seem pretty daunting, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Because really, this is the first time you're saying these subconscious fears out loud. Okay. So
Mhm.
they feel real and, "Oh man, yeah, oh, this is terrible. Like, I don't want to be in that situation." But when you do it every day, and some will be the same, and you'll start thinking of new ones that you're allowing yourself to uh, kind of open up and let these even smaller little uh, reasons. I call them knots. I call this
Mhm.
whole first part of the process, I call it knot therapy, but it's KNOT, right? It's really just addressing these little knots. It's bringing them into the light of your awareness. And these knots are essentially just little cotton candy threads. They're
Mm.
very fragile. They can dissolve almost instantly. Just a little pull. Here,
Mm.
all you're doing to dissolve these knots is just to read this fresh list every day. Now keep the list for phase
Mm.
two, but do this list every day for at least a week.
Okay.
Don't miss a day. The challenge comes on the weekend when it's Saturday and it's, "Oh, do I really want to bother my friend?" No, bother your friend. Say, "Look, I'm going to need you for 10 minutes a day for like at least 10 days." At a minimum, I would say stretch to 10 days. And if you're really gung ho, go 14 days. Now, this is what's going to happen. Around day 4 or 5, you're going to start thinking, "Oh man, really? I can't even believe I'm thinking this."
Mm.
They already start to lose a little bit of their teeth.
Mm.
By the time you get to day 7 and 8, this is what you're going to think. You're going to think, part of this may be true in a sense, but there is no way I'm going to let this keep me from doing it. And so
Yeah.
what happens is your resoluteness really strengthens. And it's not because you become a more disciplined version of yourself. It's not because you have more time. It's not because your kids have found something to do and not need you. Everything stays the same. If you're a lazy person, you're still lazy. Like nothing changes. You don't have to become a super version of yourself to be able to overcome them. What happens is the obstacle shrinks.
Hmm.
You're the same, but let's say it's a bar you had to jump over. Now the bar is practically sitting on the ground and you can just step over it.
Right. Yeah.
And so what happens is you find yourself just taking little micro actions in the direction of your dream.
Mhm.
And again, you're no super version of yourself than you were when you started this.
Wow.
You just find yourself, like say in your case, you might find yourself researching the article on how exactly what technology were you going to use to enter the information. That may only take 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and you make a decision. You go, oh, you know what? I love this Scrivener is like a book
Yes.
writing type. I love Scrivener. Oh, I like this. This is really fun, and it's got a focus feature, and I can turn off all the dings and whistles from my laptop. And you may get excited about Scrivener and you download it on your computer, right? And now you've already made some progress,
Yes.
you know.
Wow.
And
I
so,
love that.
yeah, the obstacles just kneel before you. They disappear, they dissolve. They might still be there,
Yeah.
but they're not enough over time. And the only thing you've really done is you've taken them from this dark, hidden place in your mind where the importance is super exaggerated and enough to keep you from taking action. And as you talk about them every day for 10, 14 days in a row, they just get to be like, oh, come on, man, really? Like I just don't even think this can hold me back anymore. It's just a shift in your
Mm.
perception of the power of essentially these beliefs that are just really you know, programmed inner beliefs that are no longer relevant.
I love
That,
this.
that came from the time when you did think you learned this lesson.
Mm. Mm.
So we could just because you
Yeah.
said you were willing to be vulnerable. When in your life did you entered into some sort of distraction or what you felt like now what turned out to be a distraction where it pulled you away from your coaching business and you actually lost a client? Did that ever happen in real life?
Let's see. And I probably did. Yeah. I mean, vulnerability is when my whole life came crashing down. When I had to go through the divorce and fight for the house. And yeah, I really got distracted and I kind of stepped away and I told myself, can't do coaching right now. I gotta, pay attention to my kids, which was the right choice. I'm not negating that,
Right.
but I have thought a lot of times since then, well, maybe I should have. And those shoulds can get to you, right?
Right.
But yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Hmm.
Okay, so in other words, the lesson you inadvertently learned, right, is
Hmm.
that if something comes up, it potentially leads to having to quit coaching altogether for a while you deal with it. And so
Yep.
it's some part of your subconscious mind is saying to you, it's saying like, Bethany, even though you might not realize this, I think this book project could be similar to when you were totally distracted by your life changing and the transitions that happened when you had to face divorce and all of the
Yeah.
things that had to come out. It's like something that's in a sense possibly avoidable or unnecessary. And like if you take this on, when you get overwhelmed, sometimes you end up having to put this on the wayside. Now,
Yeah.
is that really true in this case? Probably not.
Uh, yeah.
But it's not that you're going to go back and revisit this lesson because why would you? Like, who wants to go
Right.
dig all that up, right? You're not going to go back and try to figure all this out. You just think you know it, and so it's just in there that anything that would distract you from the coaching business could lead to having to put it on pause and then lose the revenue.
Good. So true.
So anything that's going to be on this person's, not any of these knots that show up for someone.
Yeah.
And we do this when I'm doing a workshop, I get people to go back and look at each one and say, what happened to make you believe this? When
Yeah.
did this happen? Sometimes, let's say if you had a list of 15 or 20 things, you would see three or four or five all related to the same incident.
Mm, wow.
And then that starts keying me into, oh, okay, so all of these things. I had a guy one time, he just this was a this was a guy, he was in his 60s, he was a manager at Trader Joe's, and he just said out loud in the workshop, he says, "Oh my God, everything on my list came from fifth grade." He was 67 years old at the time and realized that his
Wow.
entire obstacle was related to some experience. Like everyone on his list was related back to something that had happened in fifth grade. I mean,
Wow. That must
how
have been
old
a
are you
long
then?
fifth grade year.
11? Yeah, like this is what is that, 55 years
Yeah.
ago, and this has been in his way for 55 years. I mean, come on. It's
That's
crazy.
and I can to think that you in this process have brought him so much freedom and
You
all of
know,
that to come to that awareness. That's huge.
he ended up feeling like he had moved to Louisiana to it was a brand new Trader Joe's opening. And so he
Hmm.
moved from California to Louisiana to open this store. And he was an assistant manager. And, he was in his 60s. He had worked for him for 20 years. He ended up
Wow.
coming to the conclusion after this awakening that his goals and their goals just didn't align. He ended up
Hmm.
retiring and he became a missionary, and he works full time
Really?
for his church. He's been to Africa a bunch, and he just really
Wow.
devoted his life to God after that. And he had the means, I guess, to do it. And
Yeah.
it wasn't something he would have ever done, but he
Wow.
really tapped into what he really wanted to do, and he ended up doing it and just
That's
totally,
huge.
totally changing his life. Um,
I love that. That is huge. And Albert, you've done such an amazing job just outlining, and that was just the first part. I mean, y'all, there's more there. So when he says to go download the worksheet, go do that. I'm just sitting here right now just thinking of this, and one thing I'm taking away is I'm a very much, I guess they call it type A, but I go get it.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's go. Give me the process. Let's go. I think you caught on to that. And what I heard from you is, okay, now for 7 days or 14 days, I was like, no, 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 no. 1 hour. Let's deal with this in 1 hour. But what I'm hearing from you, and it's good because I'm always, this is one thing that God is continually teaching me is to slow down, be in the minute, let God do the work in that time because it really does take time for things to really come to focus, to really, understand it, to be in the moment with that and then process it. And then you're right, then can come up with a fresh list and then
Yeah,
another fresh list.
so
So
it's
that's
just 10
huge.
minutes, it's 10 minutes a day. To sit down, you
Yeah.
can you can just really knock out your list real quick, and then just get on the phone. And the only danger, is that what ends up happening is burner buddies, even if they're strangers, they become best friends.
Yeah, because you're in contact, right?
You just
Hmm.
really, you're being open and honest with someone like that, and vulnerable, and
Yeah.
it's rare. So I did end up doing this. I've been married for 35 years, and as a coach, probably every coach knows, you do not coach your spouse if you want to stay married, right? You, you
Yes,
you better save all your wisdom for your clients, and don't use that. Don't use it on your spouse. But my wife
exactly.
heard me doing this with clients, and so she was like, "Hey, what is that you're doing?" She wanted to do it. There's
Wow.
there's a whole chapter in the book about her experience, because not only was it a game changer for her, but here's the important part. We did this together probably about 6 years ago.
Mm.
When she read her list to me, I was like, "Oh wow, I had no idea. Like this is really what she was thinking." And then when I read my list to her, she was like, "Wow, I had no idea. Like this is what you were going through." Being
Wow.
things that we normally wouldn't have shared with each other because it just didn't really seem like a point. We really bonded in a new way. So it's whoever you share this with, and again, this happens in a workshop, and I pair complete strangers together. Some of them have been friends ever since and still talk
Right.
every week. They may have been in my workshop 4 years ago, and they still talk every week. And the only connection was Zoom chose them to be, in the same Zoom room together as,
Yeah.
as a burner buddy. But
Well,
it's
and I'll
really when you're sharing like this, there's just something happens between two people.
Yes. And that's one thing I love that you're mentioning, especially here, because I'm all about what does it look like to do life and community and connection with other people. And this is a great example of a deeper conversation. And we practice check-ins. And so this could be really easy to implement, but I'm thinking about actually implementing it. So I'll have to connect with you because I would like you to come and actually do a workshop
Oh,
for some of my groups that I have here because it's exactly what we're trying to get to. It's not necessarily doing more. It's really having these deeper conversations, getting to the root of what's going on and involving other people in that with us. And so that's what I see you doing. So, Albert, one last time, how can people get to your website? How can people connect with you? Because I imagine at the end of this, there's going to be people going, okay, I can download the worksheet, but I really want to connect with you. So, how do they download the worksheet and how do they connect?
and look, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you mentioned too. I am willing to come and facilitate this workshop. If people have a group, I can do a group. It takes about an hour and a half. It takes about 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours if you want to really give people the space and let the people share who are in the group, share out loud. Because when you hear somebody else's list, usually you go back and you add things to your list. You're like, oh yeah, me, oh, I got that one too. These are universal things. It makes you realize that, oh man, we're all kind of really going through the same thing. So
Yeah.
if they go to backburnerbook.com, they can get the worksheets. They can order the book if they want. They can also click on the link and schedule a call with me, and I would tell them how I could show up to facilitate a workshop or whatever they need. I am here to serve, and this is something if people do have their social workers. Actually, the name of the process, the knot therapy, it came as a result of when I do a workshop, since I have to pair everybody up in twos. If there's an odd number of people in the workshop, then one of them becomes my burner buddy.
Yep.
I
Yep.
just so happen to get a lady who is a therapist, and
Mm.
and then as part of the workshop, she was going through it with me day after day. And about 4 days in, she says, "Oh, she didn't tell me this." She says, "I used this with some of my clients," and she said, they told me more in one session of doing this than they have in the previous 2 years of coming to see me for an hour. And
Right.
I just started laughing and I said, well, it's not therapy, but it is therapeutic. And then that little joke to myself about being not therapy, I really just started seeing them as little knots that just need to be
Yes.
untied, untangled. And that's where it became that's why I named it that in the book. It was really because of her using it with
Yeah.
her clients. So it's a powerful tool. I use it with every client for everything because it just gets right to the root of what's holding them back, and it just reveals,
Yeah.
hey, it's always something like that.
That's huge. Well, Albert, I thank you for being on here. I'm sure people are going to download and reach out to you and connect with you. And just as a reminder, if you're one of those people, you're even scared to get on and download the workbook, you can check out the Check-in Thursday group, and we can even talk about that. Maybe you're scared to even begin the process. The biggest thing that I hope you're walking away with is any kind of resource you have, it's more powerful when you can get at least one other person involved. We really do want to change relationships and to help you have deeper conversations. So whether you're tip community group, whether you're connecting with Albert, however that looks like, we want to help you to have those deeper relationships. So Albert, thank you, my friend, for your time. And this has been an amazing series. I hope you guys have enjoyed this as well and reach out to him. And as always, dare to do more than just survive, do some not therapy and step out and thrive. See you guys back next week. Bye.
Thank you, Bethany.
You're welcome.